Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on today's community call. Today we're going to have a conversation with a couple of gym owners who've had the chance to reopen and hear from them about their experience, some of the policies that they've put into place, and how their customers and members have been reacting to the new policies they have, and to getting back into the gym in general. So we'll give you a little bit of an introduction as to who's with us today. We'll go over their stories, and they can share their experiences, and then we'll jump right into a little question and answer session so that you guys can ask any questions that you might have of these owners. With Zoom, the best place to put your questions is going to be in the question and answer dialog box. You'll find that on the lower right side of the middle controls on your screen. That's going to be the best place to enter questions. You can start entering them now, and then as we continue the dialogue. And as always, if you see any of the questions in there as a question that you would also like to ask, just go ahead and upvote that with a little thumb on the left, and we'll make sure that the most popular questions get addressed first. You can also chat with all of our panelists or with each other with the chat tool on the lower left side of those middle controls. If you want everyone to be able to see your chats, go ahead and make sure that you drop down the little two box and select all panelists and attendees, and everyone will be able to see your comments. Our ground rules, as always, will be to be polite and respectful to the owners who have agreed to be with us. Keep any personal political commentary to a minimum, or not address that at all. And if we give you a chance to raise your hand and speak, just keep any comments to around 2 minutes or so, just to give everyone a chance to get their questions in and their comments. Today, we've got Audrey Paul with Zenith Climbing and Nathan Steele with Adrenaline Climbing joining us today. Audrey's been working in climbing gyms for about 10 years now, and she owns and manages, along with some of her family members, the Zenith Climbing Center in Springfield, Missouri. They opened in 2016, and she also helps work on marketing and events with her local chamber of commerce. Nathan's been working in the climbing industry and started climbing, looks like, for about 20 years now, and he took over the Adrenaline Climbing Center in Suwanee, Georgia in 2014. So we'll jump right into hearing from our panelists about what they've been experiencing, and I think we'll start with Audrey. Let you guys jump right in.
Hi everyone. Like Garnet said, I own Zenith Climbing Center in Springfield, Missouri, along with my husband and my sister. So it's a family business. We're a medium-sized gym in kind of a medium-sized city in Missouri. So fortunately, we have been able to open to members only this past week. So our first day back open in any capacity was May 9th, so this past Saturday. Our capacity is very, very limited, so we're only allowing 25 people in the gym at any given time, including staff, and we have a lot of restrictions in place. So I'm going to actually share my screen with you guys so I can show you some of our policies that we've been doing and just some of the signage around the gym. So just 1 second. Okay, can everyone see that okay?
Yeah, you're good to go.
So this is just kind of our gym here. These are some of our policies, so it's pretty wordy, but basically members only, maximum 25 people in the gym. We are using a live people count app, so I don't know if you all have seen that app. It's just called People Count. So you can actually get it on your phone and see in real time how many people are there. And it shows up right on our website, so our members can check that before they come in. And we opted for that system instead of a time slot system, just to make it more user-friendly for our members, so they didn't have to go and reserve a slot. They can just check and see who's there and if there's space to climb. And it's worked out really well so far. I was kind of nervous about it, and I think some of our members were a little bit anxious about it. just because, of course, you don't want to have a membership head to the gym and then be turned away. But we fortunately have not had that happen yet and hope not to. So unless that starts being an issue, we're going to continue on with that app because it's going really well so far. Of course, people must be symptom-free. We do have a sink outdoors, so we added a sink outside of our facility so people can wash their hands before they walk into the gym. We also have a tub of bleach water, so people have to put their street shoes in that bleach water and wipe them down before they walk in the gym. We do not have any group fitness classes, yoga, kids classes, no classes at all right now. And we are requiring liquid chalk. So that's kind of the biggest change, I think, to our members. And we've had some mixed feedback, and we'll see if it sticks around or not. But so far, it's okay. And then people are really sad because we're not allowing dogs anymore. So we've always been a very dog-friendly gym, and people love that, and I love that. But just to keep the gym cleaner, and so there's no contact between people petting the dogs, we've decided for now, no dogs. And some of our employees are grateful for that. Yeah, so those are the main things. I'll go ahead and move on. This is just a picture of our little sink. I think this was less than $100 at just our local farm supply store. So these are pretty easy to find, and no one's had an issue with that. It just drains right into our gravel there and hooks up from a hose. This is the line on the first day. So people were definitely excited to get back in the gym. And even though you can't tell, people were socially distancing for the most part, except for, of course, people that came together. So what can you do? Over to the left, that's just a picture of the live people counter on our website. The middle picture are our facility rules, and that is a huge sign, so people have to read those before they walk into our door. And just a little welcome sign to our members. This is our staff cleaning station, so our staff are going around just constantly cleaning every single surface with sanitizer. Over on the right, we are offering free liquid chalk rentals right now, so all of those are, we're making our own for now, and that's just, our free rentals right now. Bathroom signs, our water fountains out of service, well, not really out of service, but we have decided to not let people use it for now, so just bring your own water. And that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Oops. Okay.
Oh, thanks, Audrey.
So yeah, that's just kind of what we're doing. We're excited to be back open, and we have had really positive feedback. We haven't had any negative feedback so far, but we're just trying to do it very, very slowly and very, very cautiously.
Great.
And that's it for me for now.
Yeah, thank you, Audrey. Yeah, I guess your turn, Nathan. How's everything been going on in Georgia?
Well, good day to everybody. Everything's been going great overall. We reopened our facility to members only on April the 27th, and then reopened to the rest of the public on Friday, May the 1st. We do, of course, have limited capacity. While we have decided to go with a lower number than what is required by our state, just to maintain as much distance as possible at this time. We really have not found that to be a problem. We have implemented several systems into our facility that are a rotational route system where certain routes of certain colors are available each day. This has shortened people's time in the facility to about an hour, hour and a half, even for the most diehard climbers. So it has worked out well for us to do this without having any type of reservation system. While we are keeping count of who all is in the facility and how many people are in the facility at each time, we haven't had the need at this point yet to start reservations or anything of that nature. We are requiring face masks for all staff and all visitors. All patrons who come to visit with us must wear a mask to enter the facility. We're using liquid chalk and pushing that, but we're also allowing the usage of loose chalk as well. Shoes off at the door. Very similar to what Audrey was talking about. Not the bleach water though, we're just having everyone actually line their shoes up outside underneath our overhanging front mezzanine area. I mean, so far the response has been great. You know, a couple a couple interesting feedbacks when it comes to the masks, you know, but not from customers who have been in the facility, more from just a couple people out in the wild. In fact, one of the negative responses came all the way from Arizona, which I found to be interesting. Overwhelmingly, the biggest thing is we have closed off all day-to-day hard touch surfaces. So like waiver stations, water fountains, campus boards, hang boards, things that could be touched day-to-day by the same people. We have closed all those areas for now, and we'll probably keep those closed at least until phase 3. Of course, no group classes, no field trips, no birthday parties, none of the group activities. For our youth team, we've taken all of our youth team and club members and taken those members into private lessons. So each of the youth participants is getting 1 hour of private lesson a week with one of our head coaches and able to still continue their training, but in a one-on-one setting. And we've seen a great bit of enthusiasm and results with that. As we all know, training a bunch of kids at one time can be its own challenge, but to break it down to one-on-one, you're really able to focus on just that child and what they're needing in those moments. What we've seen overall from our members, the first day we opened, we definitely had quite a few folks in the door, even just for members only. When we opened to the public, that was probably the most fascinating, as we saw folks who were not climbers, people who had never even climbed before, who wanted to come to the climbing gym. They wanted to exercise. Their local gym may have been closed at that time, their normal workout facility, and they were looking for a new workout. What we found to be the most successful is the same things that are most successful for us every day, which is lots of staff interaction with our customers, whether that be members, you know, guests, whoever it may be. Lots of one-on-one time. People are anxious to socialize from a distance. They want to talk to people. They've been cooped up in their houses or working remotely. They want to experience that community. Probably the biggest thing we found as far as the drawback, and we saw it day one with doing the face mask, was there's no way to get a drink of water. There's no way to get a breath of fresh air. So we set up an outside seating area and actually put these chairs in giant circles that are spaced out. And that allows everyone to go outside, sit, get some fresh air, have a drink of water, and to socialize out there. We just got the word Tuesday that some of the initial restrictions will be eased on group sizes, camp programs, kids programs, youth classes, things of that nature. And we're moving forward with some of those programs at this time with a lot of restrictions still. So I think we were issued 32 by the state, and we've put some additional measures in that we're comfortable with as well. But it's been great. I really am looking forward to everyone else being able to have a good opening too.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, Nathan. Thank you. But when we were chatting earlier, you had mentioned some of the route setting procedures and policies that you set in place. I thought that you had a pretty creative solution on how to handle keeping a pretty large normal amount of route density, but still limiting and encouraging physical distancing.
So we have 2 colors of routes problems that are available each day. So today is green and brown. Green and brown will not be available for another 5 days. So we're looking at over 100 hours of downtime until those holds are used again. That gives us the factor of time instead of sanitation. I think that's one of the biggest questions we were faced with when we were told we could reopen, was how do we sanitize these surfaces that are going to be touched by multiple people each day? The biggest thing we started to factor in was how can we make time? We started looking at rotating around different areas of the gym, rotating different things, and finally came to the solution of rotating by color. So each day there's a variety of difficulties set with those colors, but today is green and brown holds only. Tomorrow will be purple and yellow holds only. The next day will be, I think, pink and black. Days are blurring together a little bit at this point, but we have the schedules posted on the website, schedules posted in the gym. And it's really an interesting psychology to that, because for both climbers, new members, you know, guests, whatever, you know, they're coming in and they're projecting things, you know, they're getting up the things that they normally would get up, and then they're moving towards projecting. And that's a new facet for a lot of people to actually spend time projecting. but with that extra staff attention out on the floor, it's almost like personal coaching in that regard, where, you know, I have route setters out on the floor that are going over, oh, put your foot here, you know, move this, you know, giving them beta, really giving that extra attention. And that alone, I mean, we've sold a dozen memberships since we opened back up. I think that has been a huge factor in that number, is just the extra mile of staff attention, giving that personal attention to someone who is new and maybe struggling with a certain route or a certain problem. I mean, it's a weird time, but to have that, you know, come in as far as a big factor as far as the coaching and the personal attention. But also people will look and be like, oh, I want to do that pink route or that, you know, this yellow route, but it's not available today. So then they're checking the schedule to see when the next day it's available is, and they're like, okay, I'll be back on this day to I want to do this one, you know. So really neat. We've also been setting problems of the day. So each day we're going through and setting 2 new problems on our lead wall. And that has allowed for even the folks who have maybe completed all of the green and brown routes that are up today, there's something new for them today to still do and a new challenge for them. It's also let our route setting team get familiar with the new policies and procedures for them and their safety in both taking down holds, cleaning walls, as well as in the setting process. So.
Oh, that's great. And for Zenith, Audrey, have you guys how have you guys been approaching route setting in your facility?
Now, what we've been doing is just setting pretty sparse routes and problems, and with the understanding that we will change them very frequently. So we haven't moved to any sort of color system like Nathan was mentioning. Not that we won't. I think that's actually a really good idea, so I'm going to mention that to our setters. But yeah, right now we're just spacing things out and changing them frequently.
Okay, great. Well, I'll dive into a couple questions that we're seeing in the question and answer box, and thanks for throwing those in there, guys. Keep them coming. We'll get to as many as we possibly can. So it sounds like Zenith, you have 25 maximum capacity right now and 50 at Adrenaline. What are the square footages of your facilities? I guess I'll start with you, Audrey.
Our facility is almost 13,000 square feet, and we have about 9,000 square feet of climbing surface. And actually, under our city ordinance, we could have up to 45 people in our space. But we decided just to start out really cautiously because we didn't know. I guess I just wanted to shoot under what we were allowed to do and start off slow so we could increase. So we just picked a number. We didn't have any sort of magic formula. We just said, okay, it's 45, we're gonna say 25.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great. Yeah, it's always easier to go up and down, I'm sure. And how large is Adrenaline, Nathan?
So we're just under 10,000. Our state ordinance was 50% capacity. They kind of waffled on that a little bit. So we had one set of numbers and then another set of numbers. Both of those, I mean, the first set of numbers they put out would have actually been more than our fire marshal would allow us to have in our facility. So we definitely weren't going to go with that number. Once they revised that to 50% of the capacity, that would be around 90 people in our facility. And that's kind of what we shot for, you know, very similar to what Audrey said. Like, we came up with the number. We had to look at the facility and figure out, like, how many people could we fit in here and still keep that distance.
Yeah. And have what portion of the day have you been meeting that maximum capacity, either 25 or 50 people?
For us, we've met the capacity, I think, only 2 or 3 times that I've seen. I can check constantly on my phone. The first day, obviously, we met the capacity within minutes. There was a line out the door. But after that, I think we hit it once that day. We hit it at like 6 p.m. on Monday. And I think we were close to it on Tuesday. But that's really all. We haven't had to turn anyone away at all.
Okay. And how about for you, Nathan? Have you had any issues with needing to turn people away or reaching capacity?
We have not reached that capacity yet. That's been really one of the interesting parts. I think, again, with the shortened time span that people are spending in the facility overall, that's greatly helped with that. As we're seeing a number of people come through every day, it's easy with folks spending about an hour, hour and a half in there to just turn that over. While we have hit like 30, 35 at a couple times, we've not come close to hitting 50 at this point.
All right. And yeah, a couple interesting questions in here. You had mentioned, Nathan, that you saw an influx of people who haven't tried climbing before. Did you see a similar bump in that audience, Audrey?
Actually, we're only open to members only right now, so we have not seen any issue with that. I have seen people buy memberships online. People can actually go to our website and purchase memberships. So I've seen several new memberships being sold, and I've heard feedback from our front desk staff that they've had a couple people walk in and not realize that they couldn't purchase a day pass, and so they've just gone ahead and bumped up to a membership. So I don't know what the proportion is of brand new climbers versus kind of I don't know, spotty climbers who usually might purchase a day pass. I'm not sure what that percentage is, but yeah, we've had some new memberships sold for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, and how are you? So we've got at Zenith, you're using that people count app, and you have that cool display right on the homepage of the website. Are you updating your social media with that as well, or do you mostly expect people to find that at the website?
We have been, I mean, not every day by any means, but we put it on our Instagram story. We've posted where to find that on our Facebook several times. So people should, if they follow us in any capacity, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, or our website, they should be able to find that counter for sure.
Okay. And are you doing any similar communication to that, Nathan? Either an app or just doing a manual update?
So at this point, we haven't found the need to, turn anyone away. And so therefore we haven't had to update anything. It's a great idea that Audrey's doing. I really think that's a very cool thing, and I want to look into that. We've just been using Rock Gym Pro with their checkout feature and things of that nature. That's let us keep a nice count on it, but we haven't encountered that problem yet. And when we do, obviously we would put it out on social media. We would put it out somewhere where people could see it. I think the outdoor seating area would be our biggest friend in that moment, to at least, let folks hang close and just wait, almost like, waiting for a table at a restaurant. We're all used to doing that. When restaurants were at capacity, we would go and sit and have the little buzzer and wait for our turn. So I think something like that would probably be easy to do when we do start to encounter those problems.
Okay. Awesome. We have a couple questions in here around those new memberships. We kind of touched on that briefly. So just to recap, sounds like both of you are still selling new memberships, and you have seen some influx there, which is awesome. Yeah, if you don't mind sharing, what percentage of your members did stay on through the closures? Did you guys do automatic freezes, opt in, opt out? How did you handle that transition period?
I guess I'll go first.
Okay.
So we did an opt-out situation. So we went ahead and continued to bill our EFT members. We tried to really communicate that, and we didn't receive any complaints, or in fact, we received overwhelming support and positive feedback. But we just tried to send emails constantly reminding people, hey, we're going to bill you in 5 days. If you want to opt out, here's the opt-out form. If you have questions, please contact me, or that kind of thing. So we tried to do that several times before running billing every time. But we didn't stop running billing. We ran it in April and May, even though we were closed. I would say we probably had about 20 to 30% of people opt out and the rest stay. So I was really grateful and surprised at how many people wanted to stay. So that was awesome, and I really appreciated that. I think we have a really supportive, tight-knit community in our gym, so I think that really helped. But yeah. And we had a few people who wanted credits on their prepaid memberships, and of course we honored those too. We're not doing it automatically just because we are kind of a small gym, and we just can't offer refunds to everyone automatically, you know, but we're more than happy to do it if people request it.
Awesome. Yeah, and how was your experience, Nathan?
So we froze everyone. And we let them opt back in. That was it was a hard decision, but that was the decision we went with. We had almost 90% of people decide to keep their memberships rolling, which was very humbling, to say the least, when you're telling people you don't have to pay and they want to pay. When we got to reopen and do our first billing on May the 1st, we again were offering 50% credit to anyone whose membership was going to start back up, which at that time we had 98% of our members restart. And we only have had a few freezes, no cancellations. So I think overwhelmingly the members supported us. That was our biggest support through most of this, was our members, whether that be through the financial support or the actual words of support from our members. Those were great. As far as new memberships go, we have one member who has joined up, and that person has brought 3 new people who have also got memberships. So, and none of them were climbers. I find that to be quite interesting. They were all brand new, and they're having a ball, and it's just something new, and they're getting to explore it at a very interesting time. But I think our community of climbers and community of staff has really helped with that again, where we're all there together, and it's fascinating to see. It kind of feels like the olden days startup time, and in a different format, but in a very interesting way. So.
Oh, that's great to hear. Let's see. Moving on to another question here. This was an interesting one as well, which a lot of people are going to be struggling with. Have anyone in your staff needed to approach people who aren't following your policies or disagree with your policies? And how have those interactions played out, if you've had them, and how have you trained your staff to handle those situations? We can start with you, Nathan. I know you said you've been spending a lot of time in the gym to monitor that situation.
Sure. Overwhelmingly, everyone coming to the facility has done a great job. We have not had any negative interactions with anyone coming to the gym. Probably one of the hardest things, and I'd be interested to hear Audrey's response on this, is we have very similar signage right outside the door and everything, and sometimes people just kind of walk past the signage. So we've had to stop people at the door and ask them to read the signage before coming in. With all of my staff, especially with the route rotation system, like, oh, you can only climb these colors a day, they've been trained to not, this is not the end of the world. I don't need you to go out there and raise a stink over it. I need you to be gentle reminders. With the mask policy in particular, I was very surprised that, at least in person, in facility, we've gotten no pushback on that whatsoever. And that's been great to see. Everyone gets it. We're going to have to put policies in place. The state's going to put policies in place. Your local county is going to put policies in place, and we're all going to follow those. So.
Yeah, and how's your experience been, Audrey?
Well, from what I've heard from our staff, we haven't had any people not follow the rules. The only situation I even heard about was one of our staff members called and said, hey, we're almost at capacity. We only have 2 more spots. And there's a group of, college, high school kids that have been here for 3 hours. And I was like, well, if someone walked in, I would gently see which of them would volunteer to leave. Don't kick anyone out, obviously, but just mention, hey, there might be people coming in soon. If you could wrap it up, that'd be great. Just something gentle and friendly. But that's the only thing that I've heard about that's even remotely close. Everyone's following our policies, and I'm a little bit torn on this, but we are requiring staff to wear masks, and our guests are not required to wear masks. So I know that could be kind of controversial on both sides, but that's what we ultimately ended up deciding. And we've had some people wear masks, but I would say a good chunk of our climbers have not been wearing masks. So that is what it is.
For your climbers that are wearing masks in the gym, Audrey, are they wearing them while they're actively climbing, or just when they're walking around and in common areas?
I would say mostly when they're just walking around or sitting on benches and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
seen people wear them even while they're belaying and then take them off to climb a route, that kind of thing.
Okay. And for your mask requirement, Nathan, do you require them to wear masks while they're actively climbing and just basically at all times while they're inside the facility?
Yes, as soon as you come in the door, you have to have a mask on. I mean, you can't keep distance from the holds. I think as climbers, we all know, like, climbing's a very close contact sport. We're going to be up against the wall. You probably don't even realize how close your face is to the wall sometimes until you have a mask on climbing. We're doing that as staff too. That was a requirement for us to reopen, was staff had to wear masks. Just looking at that policy, talking to medical professionals, they said everyone should be wearing masks. That's the advice we were given. Staff already had to do it. It was an easy decision to make at that point. And I mean, I've been climbing a long time, and I've never had to until now climb in a mask. And it's not the most comfortable thing, but it's very doable. And I mean, I feel like I've been climbing stronger in the mask than before. So I don't know what quarantine did for me, but I feel quite a bit stronger even with the mask on. So it's going well. I also am our head setter at the facility. So I mean, we're wearing masks while we're setting, we're forerunning, doing all those things. Everyone is wearing masks. It's just part of the decision we made.
Yeah, great. Let's see, looking at some other questions here. Okay, this will be a tough one, so definitely decline. I'm going to lump a couple questions in together here. A couple questions just about, you can either quantify it or maybe just say whether it's what you expected. So some questions around revenue. If if you're willing to share what sort of a percentage of your normal revenue you're seeing and whether you guys are cash flow positive yet. And then if you're not comfortable talking about that, maybe just whether you're seeing what you expected to see and everything's going according to whatever planning you implemented prior to reopening.
I don't know hard percentages or anything, but for us, this hit us really hard financially because the last week in March is our anniversary. So it's our anniversary sale every year. So every year we sell annual memberships at a pretty heavy discount the last week in March. So that hit us really, really, really hard because that was, the height of all of this. So we ended up still holding our annual membership sale. We pushed it back and extended it for the whole month of April and just let people purchase online. And we knew that was going to be not even close to what we had made in years past, but we had to have some sort of income. So we went ahead and did that. And I would say we made like a fifth or a sixth maybe of what we made last year. So yeah, it's bad timing for us, but it'll be okay. We might be able to make it up in some sort of sale later on. But percentage-wise, I'm expecting that we'll be down at least 40% this year from last year, like overall.
Okay. Yeah, and how are you guys doing in Georgia, Nathan?
Very similar. I mean, I think overall we'll anticipate seeing somewhere around a 40 to 50% dip over the course of the year. It really depends on how the next few months go and what we see at the end of this quarter. I mean, so far, day to day, it's not that big of a hit. There are certain days that are getting harder hit than others. We do a lot of programming on our weekends with birthday parties and different group events, and those things, of course, are just non-existent right now. So I mean, there's just certain elements that are definitely not there at this time. And the day sales are actually some days up. When we look at what we were seeing in February, March, especially when it comes to just, it's hard to really know yet because our data is so small at this point. You know, I need a little bit longer to really see, okay, where's this trend going to go in the long run? And I think that will be very similar for everyone. Expect it to be down some, but I mean, I think you'll kind of have a hard time putting your finger on what you can do, or if there is anything you can do right away. I think it's just kind of stay the course and then see what you need to do after some time to analyze the data that you have on your sales.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd mentioned that your governor potentially might be opening up the state for youth camps and changing the event size. How are you going to filter that into the possibility of opening up some of those other programs that you've offered in the past?
Got you. So we actually opened up our camp program. We run a very large summer camp program. Now, it's different than a lot of other climbing gym camp programs that I've seen. Our summer camp program is outdoor based. While we do meet up at the facility, we leave every day and transport off-site every day to different outdoor adventures. We spend a lot of money on insurance every year for these different guided activities that we do, whether that be outdoor rock climbing, outdoor water activities, whatever it may be. Overwhelmingly, parents are ready to roll with this. We have 32 guidelines that were issued by the state. A lot of them have to do with sanitation, drop-off, pickup, different contactless things with people coming and going from the facility and either dropping their child off or picking their child up. We'll be putting in extra measures. Obviously, transporting in the van, we can't social distance. We will be wearing masks. There's a lot of guidelines that we've gotten. We're going to put more in. But I think our biggest benefit is that our facility, at least with those programs, we're out of facility. We're not in facility. We're still not bringing back group programming as far as youth teams, youth classes, or birthday parties at this time. We're going to look a little bit further. We're definitely looking at that for more of a phase 3 approach, and we're still quite a ways out from that. So
awesome. And any relaxing on or advice on those reopening policies for you, Audrey?
We are doing ours in phases, so by week. So, week 1 is phase 1, week 2 is phase 2, that kind of thing. So every week we are expanding what we're able to do and who we're able to accommodate. So our phase 2 is going to still have a max capacity of 25, but the next thing we're going to allow in are punch card users. So right now it's members only. Next phase is punch card passes. And the next phase after that will be allowing our youth teams to meet back up. Right now they're doing very similar to what Nathan said their teams are doing, one-on-one with the coaches. But we have so many kids, so we need to start doing some smaller classes, but still meeting back up. So we're going to have a max of, I think, 8 or 10 kids in a class, but we're going to start that back up, I think, on week 3. But, we'll see how it goes. We're going to feel it out.
Okay. Yeah. And, so let's move on to a couple operational questions that are coming up here pretty frequently in the question and answer box. Have you guys written down any action plans and trained your staff on what to do if someone in the gym, or whether it's an employee or a customer, is experiencing symptoms of COVID or displaying symptoms of COVID-19? And if you have, did you come up with those referring to local state authorities or any other health authorities to get the information to develop those plans? Maybe start with you, Nathan.
So state of Georgia, we have to have signage basically stating if you've had COVID, have these symptoms, have been seeing, or around someone that has COVID, you can't enter the facility. We have to ask that when they check into the facility. As far as an action plan for if someone was to get sick or test positive and we were to get those results, our biggest benefactor, I think, in that is the rotational system. Obviously, day of, we could look at the check-in, check-out time, see who was in facility while that person was in there, see who was in facility after that person on that same day. Those would be the people to be contacted. Obviously, the staff would be contacted there. We also have staff working in pairs. So the staff are paired together each day. My wife, Darlene, and myself are there every day. And then we'll have 2 staff members. They're paired together, and that, at least in this rotational system that we have going on, same type of deal. If there were 2 staff members there, one of them ended up sick, then those people would go home for some time, at least 2 weeks. And we would definitely help them get tested. We have a lot of great medical professionals who climb at our facility and have had a lot of resources through those folks as far as making sure to be able to get people help if they need it. But Georgia state law at this point requires us to ask and to screen people, and our staff. We have to take temperatures, all kinds of things. So I mean, we have a lot of rules from our government, but I think the rotational system of staff and the holds will help out a lot with any of that.
Okay. Yeah, and what kind of planning have you guys done at Zenith, Audrey?
Yeah, I would just kind of agree with everything Nathan said. Our staff are, taking temperatures of themselves, not of guests, when they walk in the door. And if we were to receive word that someone had been infected, honestly, our plan is just to shut down and sanitize everything. I don't think we would even stay open. We would immediately just close for a couple of days, sanitize, alert everyone, and go from there.
Okay. For either of your waivers, did you end up adding any additional language for the specific risk of COVID-19?
We did not, and I did ask our lawyer specifically about that, and he seemed to think that our waiver was pretty all-encompassing. I mean, it included language for, all sorts of things. So he seemed to think it already included that without having to spell out COVID-19. So we didn't change it.
Yeah, and how about your waiver, Nathan? Any changes there?
Same exact advice from our lawyer. Our waiver has a line in it that is basically, known risks, all unknown risks, these type of things, whatever. They felt comfortable that that was sufficient, or as sufficient as it could be. In fact, they actually very much discourage adding any language specific to COVID-19.
Okay. Yeah, and I think you guys both handled that perfectly, speaking directly with your attorney, and insurance companies are great to reach out to as well for that kind of language. That's definitely the best course of action you could possibly take. So yeah, great job. Let's see here. Oh, this will be a great question. Have either of you guys received any guidance from your state or local governments that specifically pertain to rock climbing gyms? And let's even broaden that out just to like fitness or health facilities.
Well, our kind of not, I don't know if it's statewide, but I think our county ordinance was really interesting, the language they used, because when they kind of opened the state back up on March 4th, they specifically excluded group fitness. They said that places like bars, bowling alleys, movie theaters, recreational facilities like that could not reopen at all. And then on the next section, they said that fitness centers could reopen. So we were kind of stuck in the middle, because I see ourselves very much as a fitness center, especially in the eyes of members. Of course, it's different if you're a parent of a kid at a birthday party. You see us as recreation. You see us as the same thing as going to a bowling alley. But for our members, and from my perspective, I very much see us as a fitness center. So we went ahead and called ourselves a fitness center and decided to reopen. But interestingly, they amended that order because there was a lot of pushback from bars and some other places. So I think on like maybe the 9th or the 10th, they issued an amendment in our county to allow certain other types of businesses to open up anyway. So regardless of which one you see us as now, we are given the green light from both sides.
Okay. Yeah, and how about you, Nathan? Anything from Georgia specific to to either rock climbing gyms or even that broader leisure category?
Yeah, the rock climbing gyms, of course, not mentioned specifically. That would be that would be very interesting. But definitely, I mean, pages upon pages of guidance on gyms, fitness centers, recreational. With Georgia reopening, there was both a I mean, there were several things. It was interesting to hear some of the things Audrey mentioned, because bowling alleys were one of the first things that got reopened here in the state of Georgia specifically, and it was stated as bowling alleys. So I thought that was interesting. But yes, we had pages and pages of guidance to go through. Probably one of the more interesting things was even this week when we received this new guidance on the camp programs. I mean, it wasn't just like, here's your guidance. It's so easy to find. Like, we had to dig to find it. I mean, we had parents who were helping us out who work for the government and sending these things to us, because, I mean, it's not just go to this place, here's your guidance. It was buried. And some of it's been much more readily available. Some of it's been harder to find, but definitely lots and lots of guidance from the state as they've led the charge in this.
Great. Yeah, so, you know, some other interesting operational questions here. Yeah, it's great that you guys have been able to grab some new members as you've reopened. When you're when you're going through the orientation process with those new members, how have you been handling things like the facility orientation, belay tests, all of those really specific challenges?
I'll let Nathan go first.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm a Southern boy. I always let ladies go first. I'm so sorry. So we do not have any belay ropes in our facility. We are auto belays only right now. So there are no belay tests. Our belay, our top rope section had shrunk down to such a minimal scale at this point. We were almost all auto belays on top rope anyways. We took those few ropes down, so there are no belay tests. Our lead climbing wall is down as well, because this shared surface that we're trying to eliminate when it comes to the clipping of the carabiners, things of that nature from day to day. As far as facility orientations go, we're taking them out and maintaining distance. You know, we are maintaining over 6 feet of distance between our staff member and the person or persons they are introducing to the facility and going through the rules and normal policies with, as well as all the new policies and new things for these folks. And so far that's worked great, because, I mean, a lot of that is basic stuff when it comes to bouldering orientation, our fall zone, as we do have multicolored layers for our different areas where it's safe zone, fall zone, as well as auto belay orientation. So the orientations haven't been a big deal as far as just trying to maintain that distance at this time.
Yeah, and how about for you, Audrey?
Yeah, so I don't know that we've had a ton of people actually walk in and use their memberships that they purchased. I mean, we've had a few, obviously, but not maybe more than 6 or 7, you know. We've only been open a few days. But we are doing orientations just like normal, and of course mentioning the safety procedures, especially at the door, because a lot of people will just kind of stroll in and not read the signage. So pointing out like, hey, actually read that sign, actually dip your feet in the bleach, that kind of thing before people actually come in. That's the biggest thing. And then specifically mentioning not wearing climbing shoes in the bathroom, because new people always do that. So just that kind of thing, in addition to our normal orientation that we do. And as for belay tests, honestly, I do not know. I currently am not in the gym every single day. I have another job too, which I'm actually at right now. But yeah, I'm not there physically. I assume they're just doing a normal belay test.
Okay. And are you still in that members only phase, Audrey? Or and if you are, like, when do you plan on opening up more broadly?
Yeah, so this week, so from last Saturday until this point, we are open to members only. This next week, so starting on the, let's see, starting on the 16th, we will be open to members and punch card users. And we assume that that will last at least 2 weeks. We don't necessarily want to be open to day pass users until the following week. So definitely 3 solid weeks of just members only and punch cards.
And how long was your members only phase, Nathan?
We did it for the first week.
Okay.
We did members only for the first week, and then reopened to everyone else that following Friday. It really has. It's still a lot of members only, but I mean, it's no members have been turned away from our facility because of other people being in the facility. Like I said earlier, as far as the capacity and things like that, like we haven't come close to having to turn anyone away at this time. And I think a lot of people should expect that. Like you're going to get a good number of people in every day, and it's going to be steady and it will steadily grow. But don't think it's going to be the mad rush for the doors. I don't think any gym that I've talked to in our area in Georgia, out of the several that have opened up, have experienced anything like that either.
Right.
Yeah, people are going to be pretty cautious for a while, I think.
Yeah. And are either of you, since you're both kind of in this more limited members phase, and you're seeing more members than walk-ins, Nathan, how are you handling things like rental gear? Has it just not been an issue since you're in this more limited opening?
With rental gear, we consulted the manufacturers of our rental gear for disinfection and advice, like how do we do this? We have been renting out gear. Now it's not nearly the amount that we would rent out, like say on a Saturday, a busy Saturday, we'd have tons of rental gear out, for whether that be for groups, parties, or just people coming in the door. But we did get advice on them on how to sanitize those things. And some of it's just rotational still, like our harnesses. So some of the contact points on those harnesses cannot be safely disinfected. So it's just rotation. We take them, the staff gets everything back with gloves. They put it in the box. It goes back into a room and it sits there for 4 days, and then it comes back out, so everything's labeled. With the shoes, we're able to use Lysol. We've really found, and this is a big piece of advice I would give to every gym owner that is reopening. All these things are hard to find right now. We found that restaurant supply is a huge benefactor right now, because there's a lot of local restaurant supply shops that are just not having any business. And so we were able to get tons of Lysol, hand sanitizer, everything that you're looking for right now from these companies that normally would supply restaurant chains.
Okay.
And we've been using that on the shoes in particular. I mean, that's normal practice, but I mean, when you run out of Lysol, where are you going to get more? But we've been able to acquire quite a bit. So.
Yeah, great tip.
For us, we since we have only been open several days and we are only open to members, most, if not all, of the members that have come in so far have had their own equipment. When we do start renting out more stuff, we are just sanitizing the shoes with our sanitizing spray, it's like an off-brand of Lysol that we get from a wholesaler. And then for our harnesses, actually, we have a ton of rental harnesses. I think we have 150 rental harnesses. So we are actually we have, I think, 25 out right now, because there's no way we're going to go through that amount in a day. And we're just washing them as they get used and then putting them back. And that's going to keep the rotation going forever. I mean, we won't run out of harnesses or have to reuse any.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I am actually going to have to wrap it up. I have another Zoom call here just in 5 minutes. So
yeah,
if there's any more questions, though,
yeah, thanks for joining us. It was super helpful to have you here. I'm sure everyone on the call appreciates all of your time, and best of luck as you continue forward.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Sorry I have to hop off early. Good luck with all of your gym reopenings.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot, Nathan, for the last couple of questions. And you touched on this a little bit in your introduction. What sort of extra precautions are you taking for your route setters? Any extra required PPE? Any extra steps when it comes to removing or cleaning holds?
Yeah, there's a lot of steps. We have face shields that we normally use for other things that we're using now while we are setting. So they're wearing face masks, we're wearing face shields, we're wearing gloves. We're actually, in the stripping process, is probably the toughest, because I mean that's the scary end of this business is the stripping, especially the problems of the day, because we're coming into contact with a surface that has been touched very, very recently. So with that, wearing all these things, and one of the bigger things we're finding is taking the holds off very gently, bringing them down, putting them in a bucket. No no letting it get tossed off to the side, anything like that. As soon as all that is done, we're taking that bucket back and starting to clean those holds with 70% alcohol right away, and let them soak in that before we begin our washing process. For the walls themselves, same solution, cleaning the walls with 70% alcohol. So that's where we're starting on that. Now we're going to hit our first rotation on Sunday, so everything will have been up for 15 days when we get to Sunday. And on that, at that time, we'll go through our first rotation. So my route setting team has gotten to all go through these procedures several times, at least 4 or 5 times a piece on the problems of the day. So they're all really used to what we're doing now. And I mean, we wear a lot of protective gear all the time. It's just a few extra things. Probably the biggest thing is going from just safety glasses to the full face shield. You know, that's a big step change. But overall, you know, those are the gloves are very key, I think, in this. But the guys have been and girls have been doing a really good job. So.
Awesome. And how has your staff reacted to all of the new procedures and policies? Your route setters and just your staff in general, have they just been gung-ho and on board, ready to just implement all this stuff, or any pushback on certain policies?
When we reopened, every single staff member showed back up. They wanted to hear the plan, and when they heard the plan, there was one staff member. We have about 15 full-time staff members, and when they heard the plan, I had one that was kind of on the fence, and they were ready to go after they heard the plan. So it has been incredible to see. They are doing their best, and actually they're probably doing better than their best. It's kind of cool to see them. I mean, they've always been great people and great staff, or else I mean, they're my family, and it's just really cool to see them take that next step, you know, where they're taking a lot of personal interest. I think they know how much is on the line with this, and this going well for all of us, not just for me, but for everyone. I mean, the first thing I told them is, you know, we're the example. If we don't do this right, if we mess this up, every gym in the country is going to see this. We have to do this right, and we have to set a good example. And I think we're doing a great job with that.
Yeah, from everything I see, you guys are doing fantastic, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share all of your thoughts and planning and advice with everyone here. And I'm sure everyone on the call is extremely grateful as well.
Yeah, if I miss somebody's question, I'll go back through, and if we miss something, I'd love to chat with any of you at any time. I'm in forums. I'm not hard to find on social media. I'm very receptive to answering anybody's questions or any concerns you may have. And I just want everyone to do well. I think that's our biggest thing. And I really appreciate you guys for giving us the opportunity to share ideas and our processes.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just as a reminder for everybody, we would have all been, or most of us would have all been at the summit today, enjoying each other's company in person rather than digitally. And I appreciate you guys being on this call and taking the time out of your day to be here with us. But let's look forward to next year getting together in person, having a drink and a bite to eat, and learning all sorts of great lessons from each other, just like we're doing right now. Our webinars next week will be Tuesday and Thursday, as always, at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So May 19th and May 21st, keep us on your calendars. And as always, we're here for you. Just reach out directly with any questions, any concerns. We're gonna, try to get you everything that you need to get opened, like Zenith and Adrenaline have been able to open. And any resources you need, let us know, and we'll find a way to get them to you. Thanks again for all of your time, and we will see you on Tuesday at our next call. Everyone have a great day.